Hi everyone, and welcome once again to my video blog. So this video is going to be the first video in a series of videos which are going to be about getting started with transition. So that is how to figure out whether or not transitioning is for you, how to find help, how to get access to hormones, gender therapy, how to transition socially, and all of those things. The reason I'm making this video is because I keep getting messages, private messages asking me, for help. And some of these messages are very vague. They just say, I need your help, or I don't know where to begin with transition. And I've decided that maybe I should make a video about this. Obviously I can't write a huge monologue to all of these people every single time I get a message like that, and those messages are often not very clear. So this is it. Hopefully this will be helpful to those looking to start transition. So this little series is going to be divided into basically a list of possible steps that you can take to get started with transition. And today's video is about step number 1, which I called figuring yourself out. So this basically means, figuring out whether or not transition is for you. Figuring where you stand on the gender spectrum, Are you transsexual? Are you a crossdresser? Are you transgender? Are you something else? Are you just confused? What do you want from transition? What do you think is going to bring you? Do you think that there's any chance that it will make you happier? Do you think that this is good for you, Do you feel more comfortable living in a gender role that's different from the one society has prescribed for you? And of course all of these questions are very hard to answer, Maybe you just don't know. The reason you've come to ask me for help, or the reason you're puzzled, is because you don't know whether transition is good for you. You don't know whether or not it's going to make your life better. And I've actually made other videos where I discuss such topics, whether or not transition is for you or not. I have a video titled Should You Transition, which maybe you should watch if you're asking yourself those questions. But as I said in that video, I think that the best way to answer those questions of whether or not transition is for you and where you stand is to explore your own gender identity. And the only way to do that, really, I think, is to inform yourself and go out and cross-dress and, just get into it a little bit. I mean, even if you're in a situation where you think you can't cross-dress because, your friends are going to know, your roommates are going to know, your family might find out, and you're too afraid to do that, you can still inform yourself online. There's many communities out there where you can discuss these things, You can go to this website called YourNotAlone.com if you think you might be transsexual or a crossdresser. This website has a chat, and you can find possibly other people in your area on that website who might be able to help you, or who, might be good people to talk to. You can also go to crossdressers.com. As for sources of information, some of the best information about being transgender, being transsexual, I have found is on Lynn Conway's website. It's got many resources that were translated into several languages, and it explains basically all the basic terminology, what it means for someone to be transsexual. And I would say if you're actually coming out to your family or to friends, for example, that website is very useful. But also it's very useful because if you're wondering if you're transsexual, maybe you can go to that website and read up about how people define transsexuality in general, and maybe the experiences of other transsexual people, and find out, does that resemble my own experience? Is that how I feel? Do I feel like these people have felt in their childhood? Does my life story compare to theirs, etc., etc.? And of course, there's another great resource that's called Second Type Woman. This one is really aimed at male to female transsexual, but it's got some fairly interesting articles as well about the various steps of transition and various topics that concern male to female transsexuals. And if you find that these resources are not enough, you can just Google the word transsexual and you're going to get a ton of websites. You can Google even transsexual hormones if you want information about hormones. You have to learn. Google is your friend. And if you want more communities, you can search transsexual community, transsexual chat, transsexual forum in Google, and it's also going to come up with a lot of links. And not to forget that YouTube, I'm not the only person on YouTube who's a transsexual making video blogs. You can also search for transsexual on YouTube, and you're going to find many videos out there that are very helpful. So I would say those are the first two sub-steps, to inform yourself about transsexuality and to communicate with other people in the community. Those might be very helpful in figuring yourself out. Like I said, if you compare your story to that of others, you might find that your story correlates with theirs. And if you communicate with other transsexuals, you might also find that you get along with these people and that they can give you good advice. And you can get some support, maybe you feel like you're alone in the world, you don't know anyone who's transsexual, because transsexuals are so rare. And if you go on websites like You're Not Alone, you are going to be able to meet other transsexuals and chat with them and see that you're not the only one in the world, and some of these people are actually very nice and very helpful. Also, to figure yourself out, I think it's important to maybe plunge a little bit into the gender role you desire to be. And to do that, I think some of the first steps might be to, cross-dress. If you're a male-to-female transsexual, buy yourself some female clothes and, some makeup and dress up as female at some point and go to gay or trans clubs or bars and, meet people. Go there with friends if you're shy, and, you just dress up at night and you take a cab or your car directly to that club, and, nobody's gonna see you. even if you're very shy, it's totally doable without anybody ever finding out that you did this. And if you can't dress up at home, then do it at a supportive friend's place. Try to meet some trans people or some cross-dressers in your city and go dress up at their place and then go out with them. And that's going to, give you some information. How do you feel when you cross-dress and when you go out in public and when you play that gender role that you think you might want to live as? How does it feel? Does it feel right? And if it does, you might want to consider doing it more often and exploring it more, and possibly thinking about going farther into transition. Yeah, so I think this questioning is very much normal, and I think a lot of people who question themselves about whether they should transition or not actually end up transitioning. But there's many people who, figure out that transitioning completely and getting a sex change and living as male or female, or their desired gender, and taking hormones, maybe not all that is necessary for you. I think transition is about finding your own comfort level, and maybe you'll discover that all that you want is to dress up every once in a while, that you're just a cross-dresser, and that's just fine for you, that makes you happy, that's perfect. Maybe you'll find that you just want to get on hormones and you don't want to do anything else. Maybe you'll find that you want to transition but just not get a sex change, get on hormones, get breast implants, but never get a sex change, and that's okay too. And like I said, I think it's really about finding your own comfort level. I think you should realize when you start informing yourself about transition that you can explore these issues without making a commitment. You can explore these things and question yourself without signing a paper that says that you're going to have a sex change at the end. You're not obligated to do any of these steps. All that you need is to find what will make you happier in the end, and that's the goal. Of course, there may be many other issues that worry you, your family, your friends, your work, your studies, etc., etc. And all of these things are very complicated to deal with sometimes. But I think the first thing you have to do is figure out who you are, what you want, what will make you happy, and then worry about those other things, which I think are manageable obstacles. Many transsexuals have gone through transition and faced challenges like that and made it out just fine in the end, And you shouldn't be afraid of, transition ruining your life necessarily. I think if you do it carefully, if you're patient, if you if you do it progressively, you don't rush things, most likely you're going to be just fine, you know. Becoming a transsexual doesn't mean that you're going to have to condemn yourself to living a life of prostitution. You can actually become a very productive citizen and live a happy life. Yeah, another thing that I think can help you figure yourself out is perhaps trying hormones. But I would say that that will probably be your second or your third step in getting started with transition. Hormones do have some risk, and when you are starting hormones, you are making a commitment in a sense, and you are stepping things up a bit. So I think it's important to figure yourself out first. But I think hormones can also help you figure yourself out more, because when you try hormones, I think you'll see it pretty quickly if their effects are just not for you. Okay, so this will conclude today's video blog. In my next blog I will probably talk about seeking out the help of a gender therapist and getting access to hormones. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you liked it, and as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to post comments. I encourage you to make a video response, as usual. And of course, if you have other suggestions for other videos that you think should be part of this Getting Started with Transition series, feel free to suggest. Okay, bye bye people.